With more cases of Delta variant in our country, with more and more patients are still awaiting for their vaccination schedule, it is but important that we should look for other measures to help us prevent further infections. Even among the vaccinated people, there are what we call as breakthrough infections. There should be some measures that we need to do, including the proper way to wear a mask. Let's watch this. So if you like my video, please click like, subscribe, and the notification bell so that you'll be notified for any new uploads to come. So with more cases of COVID and Delta surging nowadays, and with more people still needing vaccination, mask use, whether indoor or outdoor in many places, is now considered a norm and therefore greatly recommended. But which mask offers the best protection? So with the Delta surge, you may still be pulling out your old cloth mask or your old reliable surgical mask. But remember, times have changed because the Delta variant is now a different variant. It's more transmissible and more infectious compared to the original strain. So with the Delta variant and new mutations coming, we therefore need to have better performing masks. We know that the Delta variant transmits more than twice as easily as the original strain of the coronavirus. It's so contagious that it replicates quickly in the noses and throats of infected people. As a result, infected people could be walking around with around 1,000 times more virus in their bodies than with the original strain. It is therefore very important, aside from vaccination, that you make sure your mask is protective and tight-fitting. So what makes a high-performing mask? Simply, a mask filtration efficiency is a function of the material it's made of and how tight-fitting the mask is. Meaning, there should be no gaps around the cheeks or in your chin where the virus could still sneak in. So let's look at the different masks that we have available. First, we have the N95 mask protection. Because they seal so tightly around your face, that's why they work so well. N95 mask offers the best protection against the COVID-19 virus and its Delta variant. It filters around 95% particles in the air and as small as a zero point 0.3 microns. They provide great protection when you are at high risk situation, such as healthcare workers who are caring for COVID-19 patients. But again, the problem with N95 mask is it may be quite uncomfortable. However, we have a substitute for the N95 mask, and that's the KN95 that can be available anywhere. KN95 mask is for me the best option against COVID-19 because it is readily available to most of us, and also it can filter same way up to 95% of the particles and as small as 0.3 microns. Simply, the difference between the two is the N95 mask follows the US standard and it is being certified in the US, whereas the KN95 mask follow a Chinese certification. But the standards are very similar. These masks, again, are suitable in situations that require prolonged close contact. For example, if you are an accompanying person in a hospitalized patient where the environment is so conducive to getting COVID-19, then KN95, which can be readily purchased anywhere, can be worn. Or to people who do not live in the same household or for people who are at increased risk for severe illness. But the most readily available mask that the masses can get at a very cheap price is the surgical mask. These masks are readily available anywhere and can be very cheap. for everyone to be able to buy. And it is what most of my patients use when they see me in my clinic, since it's more comfortable and it is affordable. However, there's a big but. With this surgical mask, a surgical mask are harder to fit properly. And remember, a poor fit mask causes gaps around the nose and along the sides of the face, where respiratory droplets containing the virus can still leak in and out. Especially with this Delta surge, surgical mask for me is not a good mask on its own. For cloth masks, I actually don't recommend it to be used alone. But if you have one, make sure it is made of multiple layers of tightly woven, breathable fabric. If you want to test whether your cloth mask can actually filter as much as needed to prevent Delta strain from getting in, is you can hold it up to a light source and seeing if the mask blocks the light. We all know that the advantage of cloth mask is that it can be made at home and can be customized to fit you properly. So for those of you who have the luxury of just getting a surgical mask or a cloth mask at home, here's what you need to do to protect yourself, even if you're already vaccinated with Sinovac or Pfizer or AstraZeneca during this Delta surge to protect you from getting breakthrough infections. Do start wearing two masks by layering multiple masks for more protection. Surgical mask can be layered underneath the cloth mask for improved fit and filtration. The cloth mask that tightly fits your face can hold the surgical mask in place and therefore close the gaps in your cheeks and make it tightly sealed. One other trick is for the cloth mask is to use a surgical mask as a filter inside the pocket of a homemade mask. Inserting a surgical mask in the pocket of the cloth mask can therefore boost the filtration efficiency of that homemade cloth mask. So in short, during this Delta surge, aside from protection we get from making sure you have 2 doses of the vaccination, please do continue to wear a mask. And for the general public, layering of masks is what I recommend, especially to my patients who go to my clinic on a daily basis, but they can be less comfortable, they can be less breathable than a single mask alone. But it is definitely more effective at combating the spread of this Delta strain than either of the surgical mask or cloth mask being used alone. However, even at this stage of the pandemic, it still bears repeating that please do not let your nose hang over your mask because that defeats the purpose. And again, to get the best protection, you need to make sure that your mask fits snugly as possible over your mouth, in your nostrils, up to the nose bridge, that you don't see any gaps. And as a reminder, this is what I am seeing now. Most of my patients call me because they got COVID infection because they were visited by a friend or a relative and was invited to a dinner or to a celebration where they have to remove their mask, even if that person is your friend or relative, but from a different household. You don't know the history of that person, from where he came from, whether he was exposed to a Delta strain of the COVID-19 infection, and therefore, please, during these times of COVID-19 pandemic, with the Delta strain surging, please do not be complacent by removing your mask even for a few minutes or few seconds, because the transmission of COVID-19 Delta strain is so rapid and so fast that you can also bring this home and spread to your family members. I hope this video regarding the proper way to use masks can be helpful, especially during this Delta strain surge. With that, this is Dr. Jerry Tan. See you again soon.